Greetings and welcome to another episode of Shop Talk down here at Page 3's Game Zone. I'm Nathan Varney.
And I'm Patrick Tackett.
And today we're going to be taking a look at Star-Lord and Kitty Pryde, the Secret Wars, Battle World, Star-Lord and Kitty Pryde book. It's the only Star-Lord and Kitty Pryde so far, but that's just to say, if they come out with another one in the future, that's where we are here.
Yeah.
This book was released on Wednesday, July the 22nd, 2015. The book here takes... I get ahead of myself. I do this all the time. Shame on me. The primary writing responsibilities here goes to Sam Humphries and primary art, and I hope I'm getting this right. Alti Firmantia. I hope so.
Looks close enough.
Close enough. We'll go with Alti. The Star-Lord in this book appears to be the Star-Lord that snuck through on the life raft, if you will, that Reed Richards brought through as the universes were being destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
So he has disguised himself, not physically, but he is masquerading as Steve Rogers in this domain.
Not Captain America, by the way.
Yeah, no. As he even says to himself, like he says, you know, it's one of his monologues he was thinking to himself was that, you know, he was separated from Reed and the others after they got here, and he knew that he couldn't just use the name Peter Quill or Star-Lord because he would be captured. So he decided to call himself Steve Rogers because it was the only thing that could come to mind. And he says, "Sorry, Cap," during this. So he has taken up singing in a nightclub, apparently a very exclusive nightclub in the Manhattan of this domain.
Yeah.
He has taken up singing. The hits that he is singing are Disney movie soundtracks.
Because Disney movies
don't exist. So I think the book opens with him singing "A Whole New World" from Aladdin. So, and of course the people are going wild for it here. The ladies that are all in this nightclub are, you know, crooning, or swooning over him as he's crooning. I guess would be the appropriate way to say that. His band is comprised of what appears to be old members of X Factor from Earth 616, because you've got Strong Guy for sure sitting on this trying to play this trap set. Appears to be Polaris on the guitar, and potentially Wolfsbane, but maybe a male version of Wolfsbane, but nonetheless a canine, a wolf-looking person playing bass. So regardless of who it is, it appears to be X Factor is backing up Star-Lord here in this nightclub. Some Easter eggs that you noticed in the crowd, as well as at the bar. In the crowd, several people. I think you'd mentioned you thought you saw Storm.
Looks like Storm, Miss Marvel, Elektra's in there. There's several other people that could look like other characters, and then the bartender, don't know if it's him or not, but he's got the same designs on his tuxedo as Black Bolt does on his costume. So.
And of course there's other people conversing around him, but he's just like smiling real big and handing drinks out. So the awesomeness of having Black Bolt as a bartender, a great bartender, he just can't say anything.
They said bartenders make great listeners.
It's true. So, some really, really neat things here. But Drax here is portrayed as the manager of this establishment, and has dubbed Star-Lord here as Swingin' Stevie Rogers. And this Drax in this domain, it has this giant
I think it's a pompadour.
Yes, like
but
hairstyle.
It's to the extreme.
Yes, that is just way over the top, but in actually in a good way.
Yeah, it reminds me of an old Tex Avery cartoon. It's like crazy out there.
So he can tell though that Star-Lord is in between a set. He goes out and is on a balcony just kind of hanging out by himself. Drax comes out and is like, hey, there's a lot of women in there that would pay a pretty penny to spend some time with you or to know where you are, and he's like, and that would be good for business and maybe it's what you need. And and he's kind of like, he's like, well, I'm going to be all right, Drax. And he says, because Drax even says to him, he says, I knew a Steve Rogers from another domain, and he wasn't nearly as glum as you are. And he was like, well, I knew a Drax from another domain, and he was bald. And of course, Drax got a great big kick out of that. Yeah. But anyway, and he also was like, he didn't tell jokes or anything like that. So, but it was some fun back and forth here between the characters, just kind of getting to see some really unique takes on some of these characters in this domain. But Star-Lord is, being that he remembers everything, he remembers the destruction. It specifically goes through like him, this in his mind, seeing the universes destroyed. Yeah. So, and of course, so he remembers Kitty Pryde. They had to my knowledge anyway, they had just kind of started kindling the love interest between the two of them. Not too long before they ended everything. Yeah. So he's missing her. He goes back in for their next set, and she walks in. And, or I guess she doesn't walk in, but he sees her sitting at a table because she is an agent of Valeria Von Doom and has come to make an exchange with Gambit the Collector. What an interesting take on the Collector to have it as Gambit. So certainly a very charismatic person as the Collector.
Yeah. Well, you got Gambit the Thief. He don't have to thief anymore. People bring things to him.
Yeah. So a little bit of an interesting twist on those. But she's having a conversation with him. He sees her and is like, "Oh crap!" So he basically just jumps off the stage, and goes over there and interrupts them. I guess. Gambit, of course, is trying to come on to her, and he steps in and is like, hey, lay off, and lay off, Kitty said to, no, or something like that, and of course Gambit's like, hey, is this a setup? He knows your name, and she's like, I've never seen him in my life. Yeah. So the exchange that was being made was for something that an artifact that, some item that had not been identified, that apparently that had come through, that probably had made it through from the other universes. So of course Doom's trying to get all of these types of things to keep anybody from seeing them, to discredit his godhood. Kitty brings to exchange for the Collector Longshot's knives made from Longshot's bones. Was it certified to be lucky?
Certified to be lucky.
So Gambit, of course, he, decides to make a break for it. He takes both things, both the knives and the artifact that he had brought, and makes a break for it. He charges up one of the knives and throws it at Drax because Drax is trying to, stop him because he's wrecking his place. Yeah, and. Drax
wasted a perfectly good bottle of champagne,
as he had kinetically charged it and blew it up on Kitty Pryde and Star-Lord. So, of course, Drax pulls out one of his knives and deflects the knife that Gambit throws. It's like, oh, okay. Well, the knife, of course, reflects, is ricocheting around the room and ends up breaking the chain on a chandelier above Drax, and Drax is subdued just long enough for Gambit to escape. And of course Gambit's like, these are lucky, all right. So we're left with the Collector is at large with things that Doom is going to want to have in his possession. Kitty Pryde just decks Star-Lord because he grabs her and kisses her and she just punches, knocks him out.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see where, as with a lot, and I find myself saying this about a lot of these first issues of Secret Wars books, but man, I feel like that for me, it's the mark of some really good writing, some really good weaving of story arcs, being that so many times I'm sitting going, wow, I have all these questions.
Yeah.
You know, so here it's like, you know, Star-Lord appears that he's going to have a very significant role in the goings-on of Secret Wars, the greater picture of Secret Wars, being that he does remember everything before.
And I guess he's that anomaly that they were talking about.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
When she punched him, she made him bleed.
Mm-hmm.
Some of that blood gets onto her
little scanner.
Her scanner, and it is unable to detect who or what the object, the blood is.
He's unknown to the universe.
Yes. So she then handcuffs him and takes him with her. They're going to Doomstot.
Yeah.
So this could certainly be bad news for Star-Lord. He's trying to lay low, and then he sees the love of his life again, and that is potentially resulting in him probably being in the throne room of doom and probably being arrested and potentially being thrown over the shield. So we'll see.
There might even be a dance-off.
So what is your overall impression of this book, Pat?
I really liked it. I'm more into a lot of the books that have a fast pace, some laughter and comedy to it, that are also a little serious at the same time. This one, it's been the typical Star-Lord books that's been out before. He's always got some slapstick that runs in his books, especially with Rocket and all those guys that were in there before. But yeah, I mean, I really like this. They don't deter from the story at all, bringing the comedy in. I mean, it helps build it, I think.
So I think it was done tastefully.
Yeah.
Yes. I had, as I mentioned to you before we started the video, I had one just minor nitpick about the whole book. I liked the art. I thought it was spot on. I thought the characters looked really good. I liked the interior art better than I did the cover.
Yeah.
So
it fit the story a lot.
I mean, the cover was done by a different artist.
Yeah.
But it's not that the cover was not bad. It's just that I am glad that the interior art was different.
Yeah.
That it was what it was. I think the cover would have probably been more appropriate to have been by the same, but I understand that that's something. A lot of times there's a different cover artist than the interior. So, but at one point in the book, right when Kitty revealed the knives to Gambit, and he is acting like all giddy, and he's like, oh joy, jackpot, I think he says, which I would have been fine with that, but then like 2 panels later is him with like hearts in his eyes and hearts floating around his head, and that's just something that I just don't care for.
It's like a crazy anime sequence.
Yes. So it didn't take away from the book for me at all. The rest of the comedy in the book, I was, a little bit of the slapstick stuff, particularly like with the ricocheting of the knife, because at least in that regard, that was appropriate because it was a long shot knife.
Yeah.
It should have had some. It wouldn't have been a long shot knife if it didn't do something ridiculous to hit its target. So, but that was just a very minor nitpick for me. It didn't ruin the book or anything. It's just I could have done without that one little spot. But I agree. The rest of the book I felt had a good balance of comedy with a little bit of action, with a progression of story and getting to know the characters, all in a really good clip. So I think that writing wise, I think that Humphreys did a very good job.
Oh yeah.
With the pace of the book. So it gives you enough. I thought that it was a good balance of here's these characters. Maybe you don't know a lot about them, so I'm going to give you some insight into them, as well as kind of let you know, hey, here's some stuff that happened, like a little bit of what happened to lead into this, where we are right now. So
was it maybe 2 pages of monologue of Star-Lord, and you know everything that's going on now?
Yeah, you're up to speed right away. So hit the ground running, so to speak, and I had went on a limb. This was one of few books that I had subscribed to before it released, and I'm glad that I did. This hits on all cylinders for me, both as a fan of X-Men, a fan of Kitty Pryde previously, and as a fan of Star-Lord of the Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah. My favorite part of the book, though, might have been, it was probably Drax. Just I would be totally fine with the Drax depicted in here, hair and all, being the Drax that you see in the normal comics. I don't know how they would incorporate that, but I'd be completely fine with that, because I just thought it was awesome.
Yeah, it'd be crazy.
All right, well, I think I would, I'll give this book 2 long shot bone knives up. That's a reach, a long shot, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
I
really
just
like
as a side note, if I'm not mistaken, this is the first of the books to introduce one of the characters outside of the universe that escaped. Is that right?
Well, they've had a couple of others, like right out of, like, you know, Reed and all of them. This is the first book to focus that I'm aware of, and I'm pretty sure I've read every single book of Secret Wars up to what's releasing this week. I'm pretty sure that this is the first book to focus pretty exclusively on one of those characters. So, because Reed Richards and the others that made it through on that life raft, so to speak, have been in books, but not had.
Have they actually been on the worlds or the world?
Yes.
Battle World? Okay.
Yeah. So, but this is the first insight into one specifically.
Yeah.
So, again, that's just to my knowledge. Don't take that as gospel. So, anyway, I'm looking forward to this. Looking forward to the second book on this.
Looks like it's going to be a great series.
Yeah. All right. Well, guys, let us know what you think about this book, and definitely correct me if I'm wrong with the focusing of a book on one of the characters that remembers. In the comments below, definitely interested to see what you guys think. What do you think about Drax, especially the pompadour, hair Drax here? Would you be okay with him being the Drax of the normal universe once they get things, back to, exiting Secret Wars?
I can see the Drax in the zoot suit for you.
I'm just saying. I'd like to know what you guys think. For fun or for not, regardless. What do you think about that Drax? Do you think it would be a good fit? Would it be something you would like to see, in Guardians of the Galaxy 2 in theaters? And just anyway, just general thoughts. What do you think is going to happen? Where do you think? How do you think the Collector is going to fit in the greater picture of Secret Wars? How do you think Gambit the Collector, will he have any significant role? So some interesting questions raised here. So as always, thanks for watching Shop Talking here at Page 3's Game Zone, and we will see you next time.
See ya.